My name is Jenny, and I'm a wife and mom raising 2 kids. But I used to live a more glamorous life as a TV reporter. I was on the nightly news interviewing pop stars and politicians. So when I said goodbye to TV and hello to motherhood, I suddenly discovered what we moms are up against. We live in a world that tells us to be rich and famous, thin and successful. You know, almost nobody says, "Oh, hey, you're a mom? That is fabulous." But you are fabulous, and I'm here to tell you why.
It's the Channelmom Show, celebrating you with Jenny Dean Schmidt.
Attention, moms. You know, we're also concerned about how we look on the outside, but what about our insides? Now you can age-proof your body with Protandim. Just reach for what's been called the best anti-aging product out there, as seen on the Today Show. Sign up now as a preferred customer, and after receiving your 3rd bottle, get a $50 Visa gift card. Just click on the ad to the right of this video to get started. Alrighty, this is the segment that I really think could be life-changing for some parents out there. We've got a mother-daughter team on the show today, and one of them had a very difficult child who threatened to ruin her life as a mom, but she got control of her child's behavior, and she shares how she did it in a book co-written with her mom called Parenting from the Heights. Now, this is a new segment that we're doing here on the Channel Mom Show. We're going to try to do it once a month. We can bring it to you once a month so you can get some help if you have problems with your children's behavior. It is called Real Moms, Real Answers, and we pray that it will bring some answers to help your life. Now, we welcome the authors of Parenting from the Heights, Ann Wiggins and Linda Williams, the Real Moms with Real Answers. Welcome, ladies.
Thank you. Good morning.
Okay, Linda, why don't we start out? Because I know that you counsel people across the country. You guys have a kind of a client base in Arizona and in Indiana. And Mealtimes have been a problem for a lot of people. And I imagine that there are moms out there today that are listening that Mealtimes do not work because of their children's behavior. So tell me about some problems you've heard of and what approaches that you would recommend taking.
Okay, well, I have to just sort of confess something on my own, and that is that I was a terrible picky eater as a child, and I have not improved completely as an adult.
Okay.
So I sort of have a soft spot in my heart for children that really don't like certain foods and things, and I know that that's one of the issues, that my child is not eating. And I'm going to say right off the bat that that's something your kid has control over. You cannot make your child eat.
Yeah.
But you can set up the circumstances so that if he or she chooses to be problematic at mealtime, that they pay the consequence. So first of all, if it's a reasonable portion amount of food that you're giving them, and it's something that they truly don't detest, there'll always be a few foods that kids really, really dislike. And so you know that it's a mild dislike perhaps, and give them a very small portion or allow them to take their portion. And then when the meal is over, it's over. You set a time for your family meal, and when it's done, it's done. And I would just take the plate away with the food that was on it, and there would be no more eating until the next meal. Because so often children want to jump down from the table 20 minutes later, they want a snack because they're hungry.
Yeah.
And so they need to learn if they're not going to eat, what's served, that they're not going to eat until the next meal. The bigger deal you make about eating, the bigger deal it becomes, and the more the child will use that. So that's sort of one of the problems. I know that another problem is just strictly the behavior at the table, so I think I'll throw that over to Ann.
What we find is that people have a hard time sometimes differentiating between different stages of development and time at the table, and parents worry because of what we all hear, families that eat together, their children are much less likely to do drugs and have awful lifestyles. And so when mealtime isn't going well, I think parents who really care about that stuff panic and say, oh, no, my kid is off, going the wrong direction. It's okay. The families that eat together are indicative of families that care about each other.
Sure.
And parents that are already doing a good job. You're okay. If you're concerned about it, you're okay. I just want you to know that. But when they're really little, 2, 3 years old, get a stack of books and read to your child as you attempt to feed them. When they're distracted, they eat so much better, and it's okay. You're not going to read to them when they're 16. I mean, this will end. So it's okay to do that during the mealtime, and then you and your husband or the rest of the family eat after you're done feeding the child. It's not a big deal. If you have a kid who's a little bit older and they're really rude at the table and they say things like, yuck, and I don't like that, and take that away from me, it's the rude behavior that's the problem here, not the eating. And so that's what you need to concentrate on. We would say set the expectations up ahead of time by telling your child, listen to me, there is no more rude comments at the table. And if I hear one, you are done. And then hold them to that. And if they say yuck or gross, you don't get upset, you don't yell at them, you come over, you briskly take their plate away and say, you are excused, go somewhere else, and we will finish our dinner.
And partly because they may take that behavior somewhere else. I want to say two quick things, though, based on what you two said. Number one is, it is true, and so I applaud anybody that tries to sit down and have a sit-down meal and not sit in front of the TV and not be texting on your cell phone and not have everybody eat separately. It is an important thing to try to get your family all gathered around the table at least a couple times a week to say, we're sharing a family meal, we take this seriously, because it's true. Your kids are less likely to do drugs, they're more likely to do well in school. They're just going to have a better relationship with you if you try to do that. Now, I'm not suggesting that if it doesn't go well, that you're an awful parent, but at least you've tried, okay? And number two, are we enabling something more when we cater to a child who is super picky, and so you're constantly making them different things for dinner and different things for breakfast, and they stay beyond everybody else, and that you coax and you beg and so on? Are you enabling them for bad behavior in other areas besides mealtime?
Yes, I think you are. I think the whole issue here is control. I think actually it usually has very little to do with food. But if they always get their own way, it's manipulation. So what you're teaching them is how to manipulate to get what I want. And that's what Ann referenced earlier. If we don't take care of these issues when our children are children, and when we pretty much have control over the outcomes, where they're not going to be life-threatening decisions, we can help them through this and making good choices. If we don't do that, this is possibly what we're looking at. We're looking at adults, young adults, and old adults that have problems all the way through their life. Because relationship problems, keeping a job issues. They just have so much in their life that they wouldn't have to go through if they had been raised better.
Yeah.
I guess is what I want to say.
If I can just quickly add to it as well, something that we talk about in our book, Parenting from the Heights, with slightly older children that are struggling with the mealtime thing, is we call it dinner time deposit. It's something I stumbled on almost accidentally, but it worked great, so I put it in the book, where my children were not doing well at mealtime. They came for dinner one night, and I just nicely said, go back to your room and get $1, and they thought they were in trouble. I assured them they were not. I had a jar. I said, put your $1 in the jar. Now that is your deposit on dinner. I don't care if you eat your dinner or not. If you eat it, you can take your $1 back. If you do not eat it, the $1 goes into the grocery money, so you make the choice. And I will tell you, not once did I get $1 for my grocery money, and not one more time did I ever tell my children to eat their food.
Yeah, as kids get older, they do value that money. We thank you so much, you guys, for these answers. I'm looking forward to talking about the disrespect thing, because I think that is an issue for a lot of parents. So please join us after the break. Call with your questions, 303-297-1510, and we'll talk to them coming up after the break.